Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movie Guys. I'm Mike, and welcome to my review of Den of Thieves 2, Pantera.
It's not about the money. It's about the challenge.
Let's go!
Can I get in
Can I get your head?
and get out
We're clean.
without anyone even knowing I was there?
You and I are part of this weird symbiosis. So you only exist because of me.
Word is that they fired your ass.
I'm broke and I'm sick of being the hunter. Your next job, I'm gonna do it with you.
Well, everyone, Den of Thieves. This is a franchise that I kind of almost forgot about. I couldn't actually believe that Den of Thieves actually is from 2018. Yeah, I mean, it's a 7-year-old movie, and we're finally getting the sequel after a long drought of it being announced. I remember it might have been somewhere in 2018 after the movie's theatrical release where they announced that they were doing a sequel to this. And, 19 went by, 20 went by, COVID, kind of get a little bit of an excuse there, but 21, 22, 23, and we were hearing nothing about it. All we had heard was Gerard Butler had planned on still making it, that it was still in development. But usually when you hear about a film that's in development for 4, 5, 6 years, it usually means it's probably not going to happen. But finally, here it is. Pantera. Now, I'll be the first one to admit that when the trailer had first came out, I was excited that it was coming out, that we were finally going to get to see our first look of it. The trailer didn't do a lot to sell me on the movie. I thought the trailer was a little empty. It didn't quite give the feeling that we'd missed these characters, that we wanted to know where they ended up and such. So it was something that didn't quite excite me that much. All I could remember was the ending of the film. The ending of the first film, Gerard Butler's Big Nick was tricked by Donnie at the very end in a big, massive twist. If you haven't seen the first film, I apologize. Spoilers, but I'm going to be giving spoilers about Den of Thieves 2 on here too, so it's not like it's a big surprise when you're doing a review. I'll give as mild spoilers as possible, but I am going to spoil the ending of Den of Thieves 1 because it sets up this film right out of the gate. But Donnie had tricked Big Nick at the end. It looked like Donnie was working with Big Nick in the first film, and then we found out that Donnie was this big thief mastermind and then ended up disappearing. It was quite the twist at the end of the first film, and I know that when the first film ended, I was like, bravo, because I did not see that twist coming, and I thought it was pretty clever to end the film on that note.
I want to meet these Panthers.
We're throughout the World Diamond Center.
The most secure building in continental Europe.
The score's 800 million euros.
So no more being sheriff for you.
I tend to hurt people's feelings.
So this new film begins in Antwerp. I think I'm saying that right, Antwerp. And Donnie is part of this crew led by a woman named Giovanna. I believe her name is Giovanna. She's kind of dressed up as like a flight attendant in the beginning, and she goes in this hotel room. She's dressed in this flight attendant outfit, and then she's looking over on her computer and out the window to kind of give insight to the team as they're attempting to steal this, I believe, it's this pink diamond. This diamond here now at the very beginning is crucial because this is going to end up being a central point to the whole film. But they go to steal this diamond in this airport hangar, and first and foremost, I don't mean to sound already like I'm being harsh on the film because I'm not. But when I have always said that the first 15 minutes of the film should grab you, instantly grab you. And I felt as though the movie could have done a better job setting itself up at the beginning, coming off that first film. Mainly, number one, because it's been so many years since the first film. And also, two, I felt as though, like, it would have done a great job to make an impact at the beginning and also to maybe give the sense of a little bit of a recap to what happened. I mean, I guess if you had watched the first film right into the second film, I guess you wouldn't need that recap. And I'm not asking for a flash-by-flash recap of everything that goes on, but like a way to summarize what had kind of happened in the first film. Maybe like something that happens in this heist at the beginning ties back to the first film, I think would have worked pretty well. But in the end, I was not overly impressed by the opening heist or the opening stealing of this diamond. I thought it was rather generic. I thought that it just, the way it was being filmed, edited, and told, it was a little confusing. We were catching up with Donnie, but at the same time, I had kind of forgotten who Donnie had associated himself with after the first film. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't really remember if this Panther crew that he's a part of was at the end of that first film or not. I'd have to kind of revisit that because it's been a while since I've watched the first film. I probably should have watched it before I went to go see number 2, but I felt like I knew just enough going into it to what happened that I could just forego that. Might have been a mistake on my part. But yeah, overall, this heist didn't overly impress me, and I didn't feel like it really grabbed you at the beginning to know what was going on with the story. And then we go to L.A., where we go to Big Nick, Gerard Butler's character, and it looks like maybe he had just left a divorce proceedings. I mean, his wife and daughter in the first film was pretty central. We don't even see them in the film here, as we don't spend much time in the United States at all. We spend maybe a total of 10 minutes in the U.S., and the rest of it is overseas, which is fine. In a way, though, it kind of almost makes this film feel like they're going for what Fast and Furious has done with their heist kind of films, because Fast and Furious has done heist-related films since Fast 5, and they've really prided themselves on going overseas and kind of abandoning staying in the U.S., other than a few moments here and there throughout the Fast and Furious films doing so. But this film really does not stay in L.A. or the U.S. much at all. But I felt like that, I don't want to say that it felt rushed, but I just feel like we go from seeing Big Nick in the bathroom, taking off a wedding ring, putting it in the sink, and considering how big his wife was in the first film, I kind of almost think that instead of opening his scenes in this bathroom after the proceedings, that maybe the movie should have shown his character opening up in the proceedings. I think that we should have seen the courtroom, maybe see his wife sitting on the other side, the contentious stuff going on, what the judge is going to give her, granting the divorce, child support, visitation, what have you. I think it would have been more appropriate to actually show that, considering how central she was to the first film.
We will perform a time descent that will move us undetected as the cameras cycle through.
That's fucking involved.
A lot of this takes a long time to build up to. Like, there's a lot of exposition going on with this World Diamond Center and showing Donnie working there with this faux French accent. I don't know. The way they were telling this story, this movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I couldn't help but feel as though, like, it took a long time to build up a story that just didn't need to take that long to build up into. There's just a lot of buildup and not enough pizzazz, oomph to really back up all this what they're doing. And based on everything I'm saying right now, you're gonna think that I'm gonna give this movie a 2 or 3 or 4 out of 10. No, it's not gonna go that low. When I initially did my instant reaction review, I had come out of the movie feeling a little bit more satisfied than what I actually feel now. As I've had time to really absorb the film and then kind of do some reading on the film and kind of gathering what other people had thought of it, I started listening to their thoughts and I started thinking, yeah, they're kind of right. And I didn't really take the time to really analyze and see that for myself watching the movie. And I think on a second watch, I think I'll really start to see more of that come out that people have been complaining about. But certain things about this film started to bother me more. and it's kind of stuck with me now because there's a lot of slow build up here compared to the first film that had a lot of action and a lot of grittiness to it. This film, in a way, plays it safe. I think in a lot of ways it plays it safe. I mean, by the time we get Nick getting in with Donnie and showing up and then agreeing to be part of these heists, which to me, that even felt a little quick. And the fact that Donnie was so willing to trust Nick so quickly almost felt like a convenience of plot here. And I think that that's also a little irritating too. I mean, we get a good scene at the club with Nick and Donnie and the group, and how Nick is really flirting with Giovanna. They have a nice chemistry. Now, they have a nice chemistry in this scene, and I kind of thought, oh, these two are going to have a good relationship, a good chemistry throughout the film. Unfortunately, this is where the chemistry for Giovanna and Nick kind of comes to an end. The little bit of spice they have on the dance floor just turns to little lines of dialogue and not much else between them. And when we get to the end of the film where there's a betrayal, it should have felt like it was a little bit tougher on Giovanna, and really that didn't even happen. And that is even also a problem because I don't know if we're supposed to feel that, because I didn't feel that. I felt as though that could have been expanded upon more. And unfortunately, it's just another flaw of how the characters in this movie kind of fail one another, and the script just doesn't provide that connection that I feel like it was trying to accomplish.
3 seconds to green light. 2, 1.
There are no dead zones, so we'll have to create one. You feeling it?
Gerard Butler here is good. O'Shea Jackson is really good as well. The performances here, I think, are fine. I have no problem with the performances. I have no problem with the way the film was shot. I think a lot of my problems come from the fact of story structure and the slow buildups and not enough action sequences kind of in the middle of everything to kind of fuel up the adrenaline. I mean, we really do not get an action sequence until the last 20 minutes. And that's kind of surprising to me because the first film had a lot of good action sequences, and it just felt different. It felt grittier. It felt more intense. It felt full of action and suspense. Where this film just takes too much time to get there. And then once we do get there, I'm not really feeling the intensity. And I'm bummed by I'm saying this now because the end of the film's heist is well done. It's shot well, and there's little periods of intensity in there, but even the heist itself is a little bit generic. There isn't a lot of creativity here, like that first film. I mean, the first film was based on classics like Heat, so, I mean, the first film did take inspiration from a classic heist film, but I thought Den of Thieves 1 did a very good job of executing its own originality to that. Where in this film, it just doesn't seem to feed and build off the first film's momentum as well as it could have done.
You gotta be fucking loaded. Isn't it enough?
It'll never be enough.
You stole something that belongs to us.
All right, so we're going to go with my good and bad of the film. So let me start off with the good. I know I haven't said a lot of good things about the film per se, but let's not miss the point of when I walked out of the film, I felt satisfied. I felt entertained to a degree. There was parts in the middle of the film where I can't necessarily say that I was engaged, but I'll get to that in the bad. The scenes between Nick and Donnie are really good, and that's what really saves this movie, is that, we're building off the connection and the relationship those two had in the first film, and I think their scenes together really work. The scene after they're at the club and they're kind of talking about Donnie's past and why he does what he does and this and that, I thought that was really good. I thought it provided a great connection between the two. Spoiler here. Spoiler. When Nick does, in fact, spin it around on Donnie, that one I felt with the betrayal. The scene that I was talking about with Giovanna and the relationship there didn't feel like it was of consequence at the end when he betrayed her. It worked with those two. And I will say the biggest thing that works in this film is the relationship between Big Nick and Donnie. That is your selling point, and that's why I think that what saves this movie from being a huge disappointment. So that's the good I'm going to give you. So now the bad. Okay, so like I said about being invested and interested in the film, by the time I got to the end of it, I did. Especially the ending of the film, I thought it came to a very good payoff at the end of the conclusion. The final 5 minutes really has a nice payoff that leads into another sequel, which, by the way, we are getting now. It just got confirmed a day or two ago that Den of Thieves 3 is in the works, with Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson returning. So there will be a Den of Thieves 3, so any of the connections we get at the end of the film will be elaborated on in the third film now, making this a trilogy. And I'm good with that. I'm curious to see if the third film's going to live up to the first film. That'll be interesting to see. But there was some things in the middle of the movie where it hit a lull, and I did find myself dozing a tad. I'm sitting there, in my seat in the theater, recliners, mind you. We have heated recliners at my theater, and they're very comfortable, so it's very easy to fall asleep anyway. So there I am, kicked back like this. Kicked back, watching the film, engaged with it, sitting there. And as the middle's going on, I find myself doing this. And I think I zonked out for about 45 seconds to a minute, because I wake up and I miss some lines of dialogue or whatever. And usually when a film starts doing that to you, it's not good. It's not good. I shouldn't find myself dozing and falling asleep on a film, unless it's my fault and I didn't sleep the night before. But that should not be happening. And that gets some points knocked off for it, because that should never happen in a good quality film. And if it's reached a lull an hour in, it's probably telling you things are just moving too damn slow. And this movie is too damn long. This movie has no business being 2 hours and 20 minutes. This movie could have easily been an hour 45, and it could have told its whole story just as well. Could have worked, and probably would have worked better too, because then some of the lulls wouldn't have felt as long. The action would have began at the hour 10, hour 15 mark, and we wouldn't have felt like we spent as much time just dwelling on it. I mean, the action doesn't really begin until the hour 45, hour 50 mark, right around there, which is far too long, because that opening heist does not hold you over until then. So that's rather unfortunate. So all in all, it's just too long. And I actually wouldn't mind seeing Den of Thieves 3 go down to about an hour 40, hour 45, just so it's a quick-paced, adrenaline-fueled, some action, some story, just to keep things moving and not so much as a lull. So, in conclusion, I give Den of Thieves 2, Pantera.
Watch our six. Those aren't police headlights.
Can you lose him?
Fucking trying. These dudes are drivers.
Let's just shoot him.
And the cop goes gangster.
A 6 out of 10. Okay, so 6 out of 10. Again, may seem a little bit kinder than how I sounded. It just goes down to the point that I enjoy the characters of Nick and Donnie. And I said that's the driving force of how this film worked, and I think it's saved by that. I liked the end of the film, the way the final act played out and how it ended, and the turning around and the twist at the end I liked, even though the twist is very reminiscent of the first film. It works really well to make things come full circle between these two pictures. If this would have been the end of the franchise right here, it would have been satisfying, because it really comes full circle at the end of this film where it does from the first film. But I'm excited to see a third film, because I'm excited to see how Nick and Donnie, in possibly a final act, are going to, how that relationship's going to finish compared to how it ends at the end of Pantera. So we will see. So it's good to be back. Movie Guy's back. I did take a couple months off. I didn't see much at the theater the last couple months. I kind of took a break, I guess, and not on purpose. Just there wasn't much the last couple months that really fully interested me. And I think the last movie I saw at the theater before this one was Heretic. So I was supposed to do a full review of Heretic and Venom: The Last Dance, which I didn't get around to. But you kind of got my thoughts in a way with those instant reactions where I kind of was with those, and I still feel the same about both those movies from the instant reactions, so nothing changed from those. But I'm glad to be back now. Saw Den of Thieves 2 Pantera, was it last week? I saw Flight Risk on Monday. There'll be a full review coming for that in the next 2 to 3 days, so be on the lookout for that one. And then I will be checking out Companion, I believe, on Monday or Tuesday, and then I'll be doing an instant reaction to that and a full review of that as well. Summer movie season's coming up quickly. Super Bowl spots are coming out this week. We've heard there's going to be new trailers for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which I'm so excited for. Our first trailer for Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Rebirth. I'm really excited to see how that's going to look because we've been getting a lot of words about how that film is going to be done in the first film's kind of sense. It'll be kind of like the first film again. David Knapp, who wrote the first movies, wrote this film, and Gareth Edwards from Rogue One and Godzilla's directing, which I think is a great choice. Even he has said, too, they've tried to go back to the roots of the first Jurassic Park. So with Jurassic Park 1 being one of my all-time favorite films, and I think still by far the best in the whole Jurassic franchise, to me, that's got a lot to live up to. So Gareth Edwards, I'm calling you out. By saying that, you need to prove to me that you can make this film as good as that first film. Because as of right now, the only other film in the Jurassic franchise that has come close to the first film is The Lost World. And I've said that's because Spielberg did number 2. And the part of the reason why the other 4 have not really come close to the first film's glory is because it doesn't quite have that Spielberg magic. So I'll be curious to see if Gareth Edwards can kind of create that. Because unfortunately, in the last Indiana Jones film, that was the one thing that I felt like was missing from Dial of Destiny. It was missing the Spielberg touch. So no offense to James Mangold, because he still did a great job. It just, when you've seen 4 indie films with Spielberg magic, you expect it from the 5th too. And it just wasn't quite there. So be on the lookout for all that stuff. Again, please subscribe, like, hit that like button down there, please. I need likes, need some viewers. Please hit the subscribe button right here. Subscribe, like, please. I really need that. And then on TikTok, you know how TikTok works. Bookmark it, like it, comment, and follow. Please, you got to follow. Really want to keep this channel going strong. I want to bring you guys a lot of my opinions and stuff like that. Especially look out for some physical media unboxings too that I do. Whenever something big comes out, I try to get an unboxing out as quickly as I can. If you're on the fence about when to buy it, I'm thinking about getting into some 4K Blu-ray reviews like this too as well. I'm kind of evaluating if I want to start doing that or not, so we'll see about that. But again, thanks for joining me in another review. Check out Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. It's now available on digital to purchase on Apple, Prime, and all that stuff. Available to rent soon and still playing in the theater. So check it out. See what you think for yourselves. Maybe you'll agree with me. Maybe you won't. But comment below. Let me know if you saw it, what you thought, or if you plan on checking it out. So I'm Mike Winkler, and I'll see you on the next review for the movie, guys. See y'all.